Erbito vs Erbito Black is more complicated than you expect it to be, especially going off of the game's lore. When you follow the narrative made by GamerMind, you realize that this is actually pretty one-sided. So for this, I'll be going over the Underworld Trio, as well as the original challenge 39 and 40. As of this point in time, the adventure mode has yet to be updated, so a lot of points for this part of the video is subject to change. So Darker arrives on Earth and Lake City is overwhelmed, and this is where we first see the consistencies with how Darker acts. The moment Darker arrives on the battlefield, his presence is immediately felt. He's not here to mess around, he's not here to play games, he's here to dominate and conquer. And Hunter immediately picks up on this. However, Volt tries his best to be optimistic, believing that he could handle things, only for Darker to shut this down immediately. And this will be consistent to how it's shown in the original challenge 39 and 40. Darker doesn't give you a chance. Darker doesn't want you to believe you have a chance. He just shows up and he dominates. And when you fight him for the first time as Erbito, that's exactly the feeling you're supposed to have. Darker was the dominant force in the earlier moments of the fight until Erbito was able to gather enough energy for him to go Super Saiyan and push back. And this will be consistent with what we see in the invasion story mode. He's always applying pressure. He's always trying to stay ahead. When his army started to get pushed back, he nukes Lake City just to make a statement. He wants you to feel that pressure. He wants you to feel hopeless. And when he's confronted by Ultimate, he takes him out immediately. So there are two ways you could interpret Erbito's strength based off of how the original challenges were. The first interpretation is that Erbito never had Super Saiyan Blue. Due to how the original challenge was, you weren't supposed to fight Erbito as a Super Saiyan Blue, at least in terms of the narrative. The second interpretation would be that Erbito always had Super Saiyan Blue, but he was just too low on power to access it, and the most he could have gotten out was Super Saiyan. Regardless of which one you go for, Darker was still strong enough to overwhelm Erbito. And even after being able to go into Super Saiyan, he's still low on energy. And the reason why we can say this is because during both challenges, we can't use any skills or key attacks whatsoever. So after going over all of that, we can easily say that this version of Darker stands above Erbito, Ultiman, and Volt. And this is the part of the video where I go over the Underworld arc, and I'll do my best to try to explain why I believe this matchup is not fair at all. Despite everything that happened in the Invasion arc, Erbito Black is still one of the biggest threats we've seen. He is able to summon an endless horde of spirits to wreak havoc across the Underworld. Doing all of this simply to lure Kashi away from everyone else. And we can easily tell that the Underworld is much larger than Lake City, as the hordes truly feel endless the further you explore the Underworld. And compared to Darker's minions, these hordes of spirits are far more dangerous, as some of them have light speed attacks that could severely damage Kashi if he's not careful, as well as even more deadly spirits like the Mass Reaper. And yet none of these spirits are directly comparable to Black himself. Despite arriving with Azrael and Yukiko, Black was not worried at all. His objective was simple: isolate Kashi and take his power. Even when Azrael goes for a sneak attack, Black sees this as nothing more than an oversight. And this is where Black calls out Kashi directly, challenging him to survive so he could fight him one-on-one. Kashi entrusted his comrades to take care of the horde while he went after Black. He knew that they were fully capable of doing so, as despite how powerful the horde may seem, he knew that his team was fully prepared for a situation like this. But Kashi completely underestimated Black, and that one mistake nearly brought the entire Underworld to ruin. And Erbito Black's hair didn't change a shade. He did all of this in his base form, completely misdirecting Kashi. And all he could do now was leave with Yukiko in shame. Later on, we learned from Karasu that Erbito Black only has a fraction of Kashi's true power. But despite only having a fraction of that true power, he remained uncontested by all the Shinigami, as well as enhancing all of the spirits that he unleashed on the Underworld. And the rate at which he accomplished all of this is even more impressive, as time flows much differently in the Mindscape. We can't say exactly how long Kashi spent in the Mindscape, but according to Karasu, it really doesn't matter how long he spends in there anyways. So now we have the final battle to determine the fate of the Underworld. We can say that Kashi has become more powerful because he's now truly connected to his sword, along with a better understanding of his abilities. So it's not entirely unbelievable that he would surpass Black in this moment. Even though he would eventually be bested, the amount of chaos that Black caused in such a short amount of time cannot be overlooked. He turned the entirety of the underworld into his own personal playground. He beat the three strongest people there, along with anyone else who dared to contest him. Despite his chaos being more controlled compared to Darker, he simply did way more in such a short amount of time on a much grander scale. It is kind of difficult for me to believe that Erbito would stand any chance against Black, but if you have your own thoughts, feel free to comment on it and tell me what you think. That's all for today, and I will see you next time.